Welcome back to See Today Business. Indonesia is aspiring to become an advanced economy by 2045, but maintaining growth at between 6 to 7% is needed to meet the target. Furthermore, research has shown that more green investments and green jobs are also crucial. Indonesia is aiming to become an advanced economy within 2 decades, as outlined in its Golden Indonesia 2045 vision. The primary objective is to break out the middle income trap and become the world's 4th largest economy. According to the Society of Renewable Energy, or SRE, Indonesia requires an annual economic growth of at least 6 to 7% until 2045, whereas its historical maximum growth has only been around 5%. Indonesia also needs an annual green investment of around $45 billion to meet the target, while SRE believes that the country needs to add more green jobs to reach its growth goals. So let's see the present and the future of renewable energy in Indonesia with Aufar Satria, Commissioner at Society of Renewable Energy Indonesia. Thank you for coming by to See Today's studio.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So it's very interesting for Indonesia. It's got a lot of homework to do. We know that we want to target the sustainability aspects. At the same time, we want to make sure that the growth is not stopping. So what are the primary targets according to your research? And in your book, I read a little bit on your book, Challenges for Indonesia. Don't you think it's going to be burdening our economy when it comes to sustainability and transitioning to that?
Exactly, Balia. So Indonesia is currently at an economic, crossroads, right? At one hand, we want to grow the economy. We are a fast-growing nation. We want to grow the economy at least 6 to 7%, right? In order to achieve the high-income country status. Historically, we are in 5%. Yeah. So this is a challenge, right? And an opportunity as well. But this is a sound economic target, I would say, because number one, we are currently having the demographic boom. Yeah. So we have 180 million of population that is productive. And number two, we have the natural resources that we need in order to add value to the economy. So for example, we have abundant renewable energy resources. We have around 3,686 gigawatts. That's 54 times the current production that we have right now. So it's enormous. In terms of critical minerals, we are number one in terms of nickel reserves, number two in terms of tin. So we have abundant of critical minerals and renewable resources. And when we see the global economy, right, as you mentioned before this, we are seeing unprecedented global economic challenges or dynamics, I would say. We are seeing high interest rates, tight money supplies. It means that it's going to be harder for us to invite FDIs. We are seeing also geopolitics around the world, Russia, Ukraine, and Palestine, Israel. And we're also seeing what we call a new economy emerging, which is the ESG, environmental, social, and governance. And when we focus on environmental, globally, we are facing climate crisis, right? Which is, this is a very real issue. This is very dangerous for the future of our generation, and we need to solve this. And when we want to solve this, we need to achieve what we call net zero economy, where basically we need to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions to virtually zero. And we committed globally around 2050. Indonesia is committed to 2060.
This is the NDC.
NDC is 2030. This is beyond.
This is beyond.
And the price tag for net zero emission is around 1 to 3 trillion of US dollars. That's a big, hefty price tag. Right. So when we see, we want to grow 6 to 7%, but we have these challenges, including the costs, 1 to 3 trillion. So how do we reconcile, right?
Exactly. How do we balance this economic growth and sustainability targets? And why is it important for Indonesia to actually develop more green jobs for the future?
Exactly. So the way to see it, and the only way to see it, is to see this 1 to 3 trillion USD as investment, not as cost. So there's a difference there. Investment means that there is economic returns. So what does it mean? Indonesia needs to be a producer of this 1 to 3 trillion of capital needed or investments needed. So we need to be producers rather than consumers. So let me give you an example, right? We see the way to get to net zero is to switch from fossil fuels to renewables, meaning to switch from coal to one of them is solar. And look at China. China is currently the largest producer of solar panels. They are grabbing the GDP opportunity of green transition by producing solar panels. So, for example, Indonesia, we import 80 to 90% of our solar panels from China. So we basically pay them, right? It means that the GDP from Indonesia is going to China.
Yeah.
So they get the benefits, they get the returns of investment, and we pay for them.
Okay.
So that's why green jobs is important. Because if we don't have the capabilities or green jobs needed to produce the solutions for net zero or to produce solutions for renewables, let's say, we're only going to be consumers rather than producers, and that's going to cost our economy. But if we become producers, it's going to add value to our economy.
All right, you're mentioning about FDI, you're mentioning about investments coming in, a flow of money to Indonesia, becoming the world's producers of many potential that we have. But what are the barriers? Are we ready for this? I mean, you mentioned about the demographic bonus of Indonesia, 180 million productive ages, but are we ready for that? Do we have the skill sets that we want for them to be, for us to be appealing enough for investments?
I would say that this is one of the key imperatives for the next, government's agenda, which is to build green capabilities in Indonesia, right? So it can be, giving financial incentives to develop green capabilities. For example, in China, they have a double deduction tax reduction. It means that if a private sector wants to invest in research and development or invest in training for green jobs, they can have tax credits. So it reduces the tax. So it gives incentives for the private sector to develop capabilities. And we need to also build long-term research and development, budgeting, and also planning, particularly in the green sector. So identifying key technologies that's going to be a major contributor to net zero emissions. For example, solar, hydrogen, building biomass refinery, biodiesel. So we need to identify the imperatives for Indonesia's green economy and then build capabilities right, through private sectors or through FDIs.
What are, for example, what are the competencies we need to be developed in order for the green jobs to work here?
So let's decompose net zero emissions or GHG emissions in Indonesia, right? The biggest emissions in Indonesia is agriculture, forestry, and land use. That's currently 50%, right? And this is there's a lot of jobs. So agriculture provides a lot of jobs. So we need to update our competencies from the current agricultural practices, for example, to precision agriculture.
So we're talking about AI, we're talking about
AI,
robotics,
digitalization,
yeah.
Advanced seeds that's going to increase the yields. And that's 50%. Number two is energy production. So we need to switch from fossil fuels to renewables, at a timely manner. And we need to develop how to make solar, how to manufacture solar panels, how to manufacture or build green refineries.
Right.
So we need to build these capabilities for energy bit. Number three is I think around industry. So how do we produce steel, cement, and all of these commodities without emitting? So we need to install a carbon capture, utilization, and storage. We need to, CCUS. We need to build capabilities in manufacturing EVs that is currently being developed by the SOEs and the governments.
Right. Well, you mentioned about SOEs. So what is the role of SOEs in boosting this green jobs, and how can they actually increase it even further?
Yes, SOEs holds a very important role because it holds most strategic assets of Indonesia. When we talk about agriculture, when we talk about energy, they hold most of the assets. And so they implement these practices. So when they want to change from the current practice to the green practice, they need to invest. And I think one of the key success that we have seen in SOEs are the Indonesia Battery Corporation, for example. They're building 400 gigawatt hours of battery capacity.
Right.
And they're doing the right thing because they're partnering with the leading battery manufacturers, which is CATL. So what will happen is they will have a knowledge transfer. And that's where green jobs development is key. So we need to transfer knowledge from abroad to Indonesia, right? And in order to do that, SOE can act as a partner for these foreign direct investments, conduct business in Indonesia, transfer the knowledge to Indonesian workers, and then we can grow the capabilities.
Aufar Satria, the Commissioner of CRA, thank you so much for sharing your insights.
you.
And 2045 is not that long time,
No.
actually, to reach this target.
We need to act fast.
Yeah, hopefully so. All right, we're going for a break now. When we return, we'll have more business and economic updates, so stay tuned on Say Today Business.